Yesterday, Tuesday, the hearings, January 6th committee hearings. I'm going to have a brief synopsis of what I heard, some notes I took. I know you've probably had it dissected for you over and over and over again, but I do want to bring it up with our audience. A couple of highlights from yesterday's January 6th committee hearing. There was this guy, Jason Van Tatenhove. I believe that's how his name was produced. He's a former spokesperson, I guess is the way to put it, for the Oath Keepers. And he said during his testimony that it was exceedingly lucky on January 6, 2021, that more bloodshed did not happen. He said that the potential for more violence was always there from the start, and he added that he's worried about the next election, 2024 he's referring to. And he said that as tragic as it was, or is, that some people were killed during that insurrection, including law enforcement officers, he said, quote, the potential was so much more. He added, quote, all we have to look at is the iconic images of that day with the gallows set up for Mike Pence, for the Vice President of the United States, end quote. Now, this guy, Van Tatenhove, is a photographer, I think, and a journalist, and he'd been following the Oath Keepers for quite some time. He became a member of the Oath Keepers until he finally realized it was madness. And he added that in looking ahead, he doesn't know what the next presidential election might bring, but he said he's worried that if this filthy scum Donald Trump, my words, runs again, he will try to, quote, whip up a civil war using lies and deceit. He added, quote, what else is he going to do if he gets elected again? All bets are off at that point, end quote. And this man said, this Jason Van Tatenhove said he is worried about the world that his daughters and granddaughter will inherit if people are not held accountable. Well, you know what I think. I really do think that Trump should be given what he would deny other people, but a fair trial. And when found guilty, I frankly think he should be hanged. I really do. No, I'm serious. I do not countenance the death penalty. But in cases like this, you know, I've said before, child murder, insurrection, treason, especially by a piece of filthy scum like Donald Trump, I think he should be hanged if he's found guilty. Do you remember the inauguration of this monster? I think some of the first words out of his mouth, I remember thinking, what the fuck is he talking about? But when he said, this American carnage is going to stop right now, right here, I mean, coming across like a little shithead Mussolini that he really thinks he is. Well, yesterday, Jamie Raskin, a member of the committee, said in his closing remarks that that phrase that Trump used during his inauguration, American carnage, is the real legacy of the filthy pig Donald Trump. Raskin said, quote, American carnage, that's Donald Trump's true legacy, his desire to overthrow the people's election and seize the presidency, interrupted the count of electoral college votes for the first time in American history, nearly toppled the constitutional order, and brutalized hundreds and hundreds of people. The Watergate break-in, Raskin added, was like a Cub Scout meeting compared to this assault on our people and our institutions, end quote. And Raskin said he was making reference to that line from Trump's inaugural speech when he, the filthy pig bastard Trump, invoked the concept of American carnage. I swear to God, I mean, hanging. If he's found guilty, of course. She wouldn't want to hang an innocent person. We don't execute innocent people in this country, do we? Do we? We do? But the gallows for Trump, if he's found guilty. At the end of the hearing yesterday, Liz Cheney said that the orange vomit had attempted to contact a witness who the committee has not yet publicly identified. This is some serious shit now. This is what she said at the end of the committee hearing yesterday. She said, quote, "After our last hearing, President Trump tried to call a witness in our investigation, a witness you have not yet seen in these hearings. That person declined to answer or respond to President Trump's call and instead alerted their lawyer to the call. Their lawyer alerted us, and this committee has supplied that information to the Department of Justice." End quote. Now, as on the one hand, that's very notable. On the other hand, it's typical gangster shit from Donald Trump. I mean, Cassidy, what was her name, last week, said the same thing, that she'd gotten a phone call where somebody suggested that, well, in an oblique way, that she mind her P's and Q's, be careful what you say when you go in for your testimony, yada, 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 yada. But this is the first time the committee has explicitly described that they have provided information to the Justice Department that they've discovered during their probe, and that is this direct threat, or this attempt. The person to whom this was directed by this filthy pig Trump wouldn't take the call and just turned it over to his or her lawyer. Cheney uses a gender-neutral pronoun when she says, their lawyer alerted us. That person declined to answer or respond to Trump's call. Cheney is no fool. Anyway, again, when Cassidy Hutchinson, that was her name, when she testified last week, she said she received those messages about being loyal to this useless goddamn Trump. Now, unbelievably, making a call isn't witness tampering in and of itself. What the fuck is then? However, those that Cassidy Hutchinson reported were not from Trump himself. This one, the one that Cheney alluded to at the end of yesterday's testimony, this one was. And the orange vomit's personal involvement then raises the stakes if the message was intended to impact a witness's testimony. That will come out eventually. And Cheney didn't reveal whether or not the committee communicated the information to the Justice Department. Or I'm sorry, she did. She said she did. But how they communicated it, I don't know. And whether or not it could be considered a criminal referral. So we'll have to wait and see for that one, won't we? God damn, this is just madness. Then Pat Cipollone, who was White House counsel, not Trump's counsel. There's a difference. White House counsel. And last Friday, he testified for 8 hours in front of the January 6th committee in a closed-door interview. And here are some of the key moments of that testimony that the committee played yesterday, which was their 7th hearing so far. First of all, he said he never thought there was sufficient evidence of election fraud. Cipollone said he agreed with the scummy, filthy former Attorney General Barr, who also concluded there was insufficient evidence of election fraud. And Cipollone said that former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said in November 2020 that Trump should have conceded, to which he said he agreed. Cipollone agreed, of course. And Jason Miller, a former senior advisor to Trump, told the committee that Cipollone called John Eastman's theory to overturn the election, quote, nutty. Actually, it was fucking nutty. And Cipollone did not refute that statement in the testimony the other day. He also said he was verbally attacked during that insane December 18th meeting at the White House. That's the one where the crazy bitch, Sydney, whatever her last name is, Sydney shithead, and the bat was there. All these crazy people there. And he said, Cipollone said, that he walked into that December 18th meeting attended by Trump and this crazy bitch, Sidney Powell, and this disgusting disgrace to the American military, Michael Flynn, and then some asshole from Overstock, Patrick Byrne, the CEO of Overstock. What the fuck is he doing there? God help you if you buy anything from Overstock. I mean, really, I don't know why people buy that kind of trash anyway, but Patrick Byrne, like the mattress guy or the pillow guy. And Cipollone said he wasn't happy to see any of them. Now that meeting, if you can call it that, screaming match, there are threats, liberal use of the F word. A couple of times people invited each other to go outside and fight. I mean, this is in the office of the President of the United States. And the whole thing was described by Cassidy Hutchinson last week, if you remember, as being unhinged. She said she heard screams coming from the West Wing. There were ideas being circulated about overturning the election, including this fucking bum Michael Flynn. And there's one who should have everything connected between him and the military should be stripped away from this son of a bitch. His pension should be taken. Everything should be taken away from this goddamn Nazi fucking traitor. But his suggestion to invoke martial law and have the military seize voting machines. Jesus Christ. Cipollone told the committee in his laid-back way, which after a while started to piss me off during the testimony yesterday, that he didn't think that these people were providing the president with, quote, good advice, end quote. Oh, fuck you, Cipollone. What the hell would you consider good advice? This was treasonous shit. You can't come out and say it? Cipollone said that he asked these nutfucks in this office, December 18th, where was your evidence for claims of voter fraud? And he said that he and Mark Meadows, that scummy little coward, were verbally attacked for questioning where the evidence was for this bullshit that was coming out of Trump's pie hole. Cipollone told the committee that the group that was in the Oval Office responded with, quote, general disregard for wanting to back up claims with facts. What the fuck? Okay. He also said that in addition to floating claims of voter fraud and plots to overturn the election, Cipollone described his opposition to Trump's suggestion of naming Sidney Powell, this useless bitch, as a special counsel to investigate voter fraud in the 2020 election. Can you fucking believe that? Cipollone said yesterday, quote, I was vehemently opposed. I didn't think she should be appointed to anything, end quote. Now, he didn't say it yesterday, but that's what he said to the committee during his closed-door interview. The video clip was played yesterday. And Cipollone said he thought it was his words, terrible idea for the president to follow a plan to seize election machines and voting machines. Yeah, I'll bet, especially if you have the U.S. military do it, right? This is what happens with somebody like Duterte in the Philippines, or Orban in Hungary, or Bolsonaro in Brazil or Putin in Russia. Talk about coming close. Jesus Christ almighty. So, those are a couple of highlights. I want to share with you some of the takeaways from the hearing yesterday. And that hearing yesterday focused on the nexus between extremism, violence, anti-Semitism, white supremacy, neo-Nazism, and Trump. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.